Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So, this is a video I never wanted to have to make. And I am so angry right now. Angry at myself, angry at the situation. So, before I get into this, a couple of years ago, I took a year off of gardening. I love gardening. It is like, it brings me so much joy. It gives me so much just time with the Creator and digging my hands in the soil and spending time in prayer and just fresh air and sunshine on my shoulders, and it is so rewarding to garden. We built our homestead in Alabama. One of the things that I've done all along is been very sustainable, using chicken coop clean out and manure and old bedding and things like that as compost. You know, composting all of the food scraps from the kitchen and things like that, so that I didn't really have to buy compost. I could make my own, and I've never had a problem. In 2022, I took the year off of gardening because fall of 21 to fall of 22 was basically our 7th year on the homestead there in Alabama. And I keep the Sabbath, I keep the weekly Sabbath, and I chose to also keep the farming, the land Sabbath. And it was so timely. It was wonderful being able to take that rest year. And I was really looking forward to gardening again. But we were moving. We knew we were moving to Arkansas long before we ever shared that with any of you guys. But I still wanted to plant because, I had waited a whole year. And so I planted a garden in Alabama. Not everything, but I planted all the raised beds so that whoever bought our homestead there would move into a garden and just be able to enjoy it right off the bat. And so, we spent all of pretty much 23 moving, getting settled, and things like that. And so here it is, 2024. This is the year I was going to really garden again. And last year I planted a couple things up there in some of the existing beds and put down a couple of rings, planted a few things, completely neglected them, didn't even really water. I was too busy just getting settled here and getting moved and everything else. So this was the year to really get back into gardening. And we had trees taken down so I could get more light in here. And I knew that starting this garden was going to be a process, and it was going to take a long time because, building raised beds, getting the soil, all of this stuff, it's expensive. And so this is things that I had to save up for, I have 4 big beds here. I added another small bed down there, just with some scrap wood that I had. And I'm going to have to rip it all out. Because I'm apparently dealing with something that I've never had to deal with before. And to be honest, it wasn't even on my radar because, like I said, in Alabama, I composted everything. I composted the manure. I composted the hay, the straw, the bedding. I composted all of that stuff. Fed my garden. My gardens thrived. My in-ground garden went from dead, lifeless hard packed clay soil that you couldn't find a single worm in, to rich dirt that you could just sink your fingers into. And it was all by doing that, just a layer upon layer of compost. I've poisoned my garden. I've poisoned my garden. So each of these beds is about 47.5 or so square feet. They're good sized beds. And my goal is to build lots of them, fill this whole area with all of these beautiful beds. But these beds take a lot of soil to fill. And so I did just like I did in Alabama. I filled the bottom of the beds Hugel culture style with old hay, old manure, old leaves, old wood, just old biological material, and then filled the top with the soil that I drove to Fort Smith and just got load after load after load of. And that was a lot of time, hundreds of dollars, and I'm going to have to rip it all out. Because it was never on my radar. I never even would have thought of this. The hay that I've been feeding Sophie and Amos has been sprayed with Grazon. They eat the hay. The Grazon goes through their system. It's still in their manure. The manure goes in the garden. It kills my plants. And all of the soil that I have planted in all of these beds, 47.5 square feet each, is poisoned. And I know it wasn't the soil, because I thought back and forth, okay, was it the hay? Was it the soil? It wasn't the soil, because I put the same soil up there in the herb garden and some of the other beds, and all of those plants are doing great. So it wasn't the soil, it was the hay. So I'm sick. I'm sick over this. The world being what it is, I have felt such an urgency to get my garden in. Not out of a sense of fear, but just out of a sense of having this stability. Having this to provide for our family. And, gosh, I'm sick. I'm sick over it. I'm sick over having to pull out all of my plants, all of these things that I've grown from seed for the first time in a couple of years, having that joy and just having to rip it all out. Having the loss of just the financial loss of all of the soil that I'm going to have to pull out and replace. I could potentially save this soil. But I would still have to build all new beds if I want to grow anything anytime soon. There are ways of rescuing soil from Grazon contamination. It involves growing things like grasses, like filling the entire bed with corn, letting the corn grow up, ripping it all out, because the corn and grasses will pull it up into the plant, and by doing that you can potentially get the Grazon out of the soil, and then you can test your soil and see, is there still Grazon in there? Is it still killing everything? As far as I know, there's only one state where Grazon is illegal, because it is just the gift that keeps on giving. It's the curse that keeps on cursing. That's what it is. Our food system, from seed to plate, is so corrupt. So corrupt. So, like I was saying, this is not the video I wanted to make. I was so excited to start doing garden tours again and just enjoying everything. Being out here and having that time again. It feels like a kick to the gut. That's where I'm at. I had planned on doing a fun cooking video for today, a great recipe, but at the moment, honestly, I'm too angry to edit a happy video. I guess this is my rant. My rant about the food system and all of the chemicals that are just everywhere. And it's like, we can't get away from this mess. It's everywhere. It's in the air, it's in the water, it's in the soil, it's in our plants. They're trying to put the crap in our meats. Why can't they just leave it alone? You know, the Creator made things to be a certain way. It is the arrogance of man that thinks he knows better. And all he does is destroy. Is it any wonder that when the Lord comes back, eventually he's going to have to make a whole new earth? I wish Grazon was illegal everywhere. It should be. And everything else like it. Everything else like it. So if you're wondering what Grazon poisoning looks like, down here we have leaves that were healthy and green. They're getting paler and paler. And all of the new growth looks like that. Looks like this. Wrinkly, curly, dark, unhealthy, and sick. And it's the peppers. It's the tomatoes. Look at all the new growth. You see this? Curled up and sick. The original leaves still look okay, but everything new is sick. Same with these. Sick and dying. It's all sick and dying. All this investment wasted. All four of these beds have Grazon contaminated soil in them. The only ones that don't is this little bitty bed down here with the squash in it. And then my beans. And the watermelon. No contamination with these. It makes me glad that I hadn't planted that bed yet, because at least I have a few plants left that are still waiting to go in the soil. So, I don't know what else to say. I mean, at this point, I don't even know if I can get more soil. It's probably the wrong time of year. I mean, I've probably missed the prime. I don't even know if I'll be able to get more soil right now to start over. I may not even be able to do anything until fall. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm just angry, and I don't know what to say. So I guess with that, I'll talk to y'all next time, you guys. Grazon.